Okay, just a disclaimer before we start. I am recovering from a bit of a cough, so my throat is still a bit scratchy, so my voice is not quite its normal self. But thank you for being here. This is a masterclass on how to create our own affirmations and actually use them to change our life. Funnily enough, this was a method that I was using without calling it a method. So I've been working with women and for like 7 years, and this was something that we were doing, and it was before even like manifesting became a thing or affirmations became like a trending thing, and all this self-development stuff has obviously grown in a great way, but at the same time it can sometimes be really confusing because we are looking at so many different types of posts and information and podcasts, and it's like we kind of think we know what to do, but then it's like, where do I even start and how can I actually make it work for me? So hopefully today you come away with some information about that. And for those who are new to being introduced to me, I'm Katie, and I am also a yoga teacher first and most importantly, because that's what got me into this space, but a mindset transformation coach. And I have worked with women and men all around the world to rewire our subconscious mind, to improve our lives, to feel at peace from within. I truly believe that you can be on the most amazing holiday in the world, with the most incredible people, eating the most delicious food, but if you don't feel good inside, it doesn't really matter where you are. So I truly believe that true contentment, happiness and peace, it starts from within. And when we learn how to tap into that, not only does it feel better because you actually feel whole and fulfilled within, but all of your external experiences also improve because you feel good with inside yourself. So that's kind of my ethos, I suppose. And affirmations and visualizations and thought awareness really changed me and transformed me as a person, not just in terms of my physical health, but in terms of my mindset. And I was really never somebody who looked after their health, looked after their body, who knew anything even about what this work was. But when I started to practice yoga for a bad shoulder, because my osteopath told me to practice, I started to do, I think it was like the first thing that I'd really started to do consistently. And basically I started to see myself change. I started to see that I was like picking less fights with my partner, that I was just calmer and was able to be more loving and compassionate to myself. And that was kind of like a light bulb moment that change is possible and that we're not stuck as we are. So that for me was like the beginning, like the seed being planted, which I didn't realize at the time. I spent years and years just diving so deep into myself because I was such a victim of my past. Like I was just the victim of my life. I can't do that because I went through this, or just constantly replaying these old stories that had happened from my childhood, feeling resentful, just feeling like almost angry towards the world and not valuing myself at all. And when I realized that I have the power to change this, because I think most of us subconsciously, we're waiting for things externally around us to change, to see and feel different. But when you realize that I have the power within me to feel different, I don't need to wait for so and so to apologize or for my mum to change her behavior or any of these things. We can actually just decide, rewrite those stories for ourselves, change our perception of something. When we feel ready, we can transform that. So the first step that I'd love to ask you and for you to think about right now is, do you believe that change is possible for you? And that honestly is probably the most important question you'll ask yourself, because a lot of people are trying these affirmations. They're doing like the thing that they've seen on Instagram. They're trying the meditation without asking themselves this question. And you might be on here like, well, of course I believe it's possible. I wouldn't be on this call, but you'll be surprised. I've had like clients who I've actually turned down working with because I can see they're not ready to believe this. And if you're not ready to believe this to yourself, or at least learn how to believe it, you're not going to find a difference. The change has to come with you believing that it's possible to change, and you believing and knowing, even if it's just a small percentage, that you do have the power to change it. That some of it is your responsibility and some of it is in your hands. We can't be responsible for the way that everyone else acts and for some external things, but we can be responsible about what we tell ourselves about that thing and how we choose to react about it. So that's really, really important question to ask yourself today. When you ask yourself, I believe that change is possible? Or do I believe I can change the way I think? Because when you change your mind, you change your life. And this isn't me like, I don't know, Googling some cute phrase. Like this is genuinely true. I've seen it happen to so many people. And I know it's true. And I've seen the way that their lives have unfolded in such a different way just because they've changed their mind. And what most of us are doing are fighting against, these external things to force things to happen for us. When if we actually just trust, surrender, and work on what's happening up here, suddenly stuff starts to happen. It's crazy. And just about why generic affirmations don't usually work as well is they don't really target your specific blocks and fears. Like they're not really made for you. They're just someone else's. So they make sense to someone else, but maybe not to you. Or maybe they kind of make sense to you and they resonate with you in that moment. So I'm not saying that no generic ones can work. Obviously, if you know your thought processing and your blocks so well, and you see one that really stands out and resonates to you, then maybe it does make sense to you. But the most powerful exercise you can do is what we're doing today, which is to write your own. And maybe those ones are similar to the ones that you're finding. So you usually select the more safe options, therefore they're not delusional and challenging enough. Like if you want to come to me and say like, I want to welcome more wealth into my life, for example, right? If you might find an affirmation that's like, I believe I can welcome in more abundance, right? Which is not a bad one, but being able to say to yourself in the mirror, like, I'm a millionaire, for example, you see how that feels more uncomfortable, can feel a bit more challenging. And that's usually what I build you up to doing. We start with the safer ones, and then when your nervous system feels safe enough, we teach it to be safe, to say even those numbers and to say things like that. So you end up saying them, but not really believing them, or you still have a part of you that doesn't believe them. So doing this, working on these two things together is what will make them successful, is like going through your fears and blocks at the same time as saying the new affirmations. And that's why their method has always been really powerful for me and my clients. You're only doing affirmations and no thought observation practice or visualization work. So maybe you just say the affirmations, and for some people that can just be enough. But if you really, really want to accelerate them, you need to be finding ways to practice more thought observation, which I'll tell you about in this presentation, how you can do that and what that is, and visualization work, which we'll also talk about. But really, it's just visualization meditations, which is what you see me talking a lot about on Instagram, and you might have already downloaded one of those from me. So today I'm going to teach you my method. And as a little disclaimer, I love to add this was not created by AI. This is a method that I have used for years with clients, and it has genuinely transformed lives. Just like this presentation, it genuinely, like at 7 p.m. last night, this presentation wasn't done. And I just, because it's so on the top of my head, because I've done this so many times with different clients, that it's just so easy for me to write it. It's so natural to me. So I just like to add that this is not just like, because I do appreciate that this masterclass is free, but it's also your time. Even if you're watching this back, you're deciding to spend time out of your day to watch this. So that's the reason why I'm adding this. This is not just like a general wild stab in the dark of, oh, maybe this will work. This is like, I've seen it time and time again work. So you're in the right place to be learning about this. So I just want you to think right now, what do you want right now? I mean, there might be a number of things you want. Maybe today it's good to focus on like one main topic or one main thing, and just kind of bring that into the forefront of your mind and just think about it for a moment. And write it down. So write a list. First, write the thing at the top that you want. Just write that on the top of your paper. And then, because what sometimes happens is you might say this thing that you want, and already you might be having the buts and the ifs and the blocks coming up. So I'd like you to write a list of your buts, blocks, and fears and limiting beliefs about this thing that you want underneath. So I'm going to give you like a minute or two to do this. And if you get stuck, if you have any questions, you can just let me know. Okay. Hopefully you've got a list of things written down, and you can always come back to that list and add to it, because what happens is over a period of time, you might uncover more. In fact, you probably will uncover more. You might even be driving tomorrow and something will come up, and then you'll go, oh wait, there's one of those blocks again, or those fears, or those beliefs. I've got some examples here. So the dream might be, I want to pay off my mortgage and rent out my house, for example. But making that much money in the next 3 years isn't going to be possible, right? This is a block that we have. Dream, I want to move to Thailand. These are not my dreams, by the way, they're just completely random. I want to move to Thailand and run my dream business. Can you tell I was thinking about a holiday in Thailand yesterday when I wrote this? But I can't because it's not realistic or practical, and I can't leave where I am now because I need financial security. So you can tell yourself as many times as you want in the mirror that I'm going to move to Thailand. I'm going to start my dream business. And it could even work, like, to a certain degree. Like, it might push you to start the business, for example. But to get you really, really pushing the business where it actually needs to be for you to be self-sustainable, for example, it won't happen if you still have the belief underneath. Because our actions are a direct reflection of our belief system. That's what self-sabotage is. That's why we subconsciously self-sabotage ourselves. Sometimes it's so subtle, we don't even notice we're doing it. I'll give you an example of how I used to self-sabotage because of my limiting beliefs. I was known, like, there's genuinely an ongoing joke in my family. It was actually came up in a quiz this summer when we had like a family game, and we had to like do random facts about ourselves basically, and then people would have to guess the right answer. It was like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but about us. And everyone had like a few questions about themselves. And one of the funny ones that came up about me was, how many different jobs has Katie had? Okay. And I think it was like double figures, because I've had so many different jobs. And in terms of like career pivots, I used to get to a certain point in a job. To be fair, I also wasn't happy doing those jobs, so it's a bit different. But I even have started a business. I started a swimwear boutique about 9 years ago. It was doing really well. And a minute it got to like, oh, I need to like properly like license this, and I need to like set up the website. I literally shut the whole thing down. I was like, I need to do either or. I can't do my business and do that. I did have time to do it. This is before having kids, so I definitely had time. But I gave myself that excuse and I just quit and I shut it down, the whole thing. And what this actually was I had a subconscious belief that real like success and abundance isn't available to me. And this came really from like, you know, it's been passed down from my parents, not that it's their fault for having those beliefs, but ironic, you know, realistically, our parents' beliefs do become our own, especially when it comes to money or success. You know, my belief system up until recently that I had to change was also, you can only be successful if you basically work yourself to the bone and you sacrifice everything else you love. That was the message that got put down to me. So therefore I have been rejecting success because I was like, well, I don't want to sacrifice my life. Like, I still want to enjoy my life. I still want to look after me. I still want to be present with my family. So it put me off for so long. And it also made me not push myself in a way that I know that I need to be pushed in terms of like really reaching for the stars when it's setting your own business up, for example. So this is just like a really specific way where your subconscious beliefs can block you so much. One of my clients a while ago, her name's Holly. If you watch this back, Holly, hi. She had a side business that she really wanted to launch, but what was her blocks was, what we uncovered together was her realizing how vulnerable she felt to put herself out on social media in front of family and friends, or like people that once knew her, in case they think like, who does she think she is, or if she would feel judged for that. So then we had to unravel all of these things about like, why is it that we care about what other people think of us? What comes underneath that? Oh, it's because we don't think of enough of ourselves. How do we then learn how to value ourselves? Like, there's always like a layer deeper and deeper that you can go. And it sounds something like that's so simple, like I feel worried to show up on social media, and then what's actually underneath that is something that just feels so far away. So it's really about uncovering all of those layers. Once we went through all of those layers, she launched her social media, she ran her first online program, got a client. I actually ended up being one of her clients and doing her program for my second pregnancy, which was so cool because she was a hypnobirthing teacher. And she went viral on social media like 2 or 3 times and built like 2,000-3,000 followers in like the space of like literally from hardly any post. It was crazy. So it really is just like you're changing your belief system, because then that changes your actions, and your actions change the course of your life. Every single thing that we do, even like you showing up here and watching this, every single decision, every single choice that we make creates the bigger picture. It creates our tomorrow. It creates our next year. So just a little bit about thought observation. If you've got any questions, please shout out, okay? Thought observation. What is this? This is literally exactly how it says. So you are aware of your thoughts. You become more aware of your thoughts. And we do this by being more present, which is such a rarity these days. We're hardly ever with our thoughts, because when there's space, we either make it overly productive because that's what's been preached to us, or we fill it with social media, which means we're filling it with other people's thoughts. And we rarely get time to think of our own thoughts. So then we become less and less aware, or we become more and more detached from our own voice, from our own thought processes, that it then becomes very conflicting and confusing when someone says, just listen to your intuition. It becomes a little bit difficult to do that, because sometimes we don't know what that is. And often if we do know what it is, we have someone else's voice telling us, oh, we should do something different. So thought observation is literally not complicated. It's just found in presence. And I really do find that it's a switch that once you start, you can't switch it off. When you start to become aware of your thoughts, no one can take that away from you. It's there forever, which is really cool when you think about it. So you only really have to learn to do this once. And then there'll be times in your life where you dip in and out of it, and you're like, hey, I've not really been thinking about my thoughts lately, or my voice, or what I'm telling myself. And then you can easily just swoop back in and know how empowering it feels to be aware. So yeah, it's really, really not complicated. It's a switch that once you have it, you can't switch off. And it's found through very small pockets of presence. A lot of people, when they do meditation, they tell me, I'm no good at meditation. I'm really bad at it. I sit down and I close my eyes and I can't concentrate on anything that anyone is saying. And I just have so many thoughts running through my head. And I always say, good. And then they look at me very confused. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Really? Yeah, I was like, that wasn't a waste of time. You just got to sit and watch your thoughts. Even if there's 100 of them, you got to sit and watch them for a minute. When do you ever do that? We never do that. And when we can sit and watch our thoughts, this is actually a practice you can do. You can put relaxing music on, 2 minutes, and you're just going to be like, I'm just going to sit and watch what comes through my mind. And you can even write some of your thoughts down. You can see what's taking up more space in your mind, because we all have very, very busy minds. So examples of presence: you can drive or walk in silence. You don't have to do it every day, but sometimes it's nice. You can notice 3 new things. You can be like, every time I go on this walk, for the first 15 minutes, I'm not going to listen to anything. I'm just going to notice 3 new things that I haven't noticed on this walk before, for example. You can do that. The same thing when you're driving, if you don't go for walks. But if you don't go for walks in silence, then maybe this is your nudge to do so. Even if it's 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be like 10,000 steps. Even if it's just 5 minutes, be really powerful. Do something and intentionally tell yourself that you will just do that. For example, I like to do that when I'm hanging the laundry. I find hanging laundry really, really therapeutic. I don't find putting it away therapeutic, but I find hanging it. I think it's because I get to be in my garden, get to be outside in the summer anyway. And I just only think about that. Think about, oh, I'll put this piece here. Oh, I'm just going to be here and I'm just going to be here in this moment. That is meditation. If you can wash the dishes and just be washing the dishes, that's meditation. If you can be on this call and just be on this call without thinking about what you have to do afterwards, that's meditation. You're already meditating. That's the ultimate meditation. It's being able to do things with full presence and full awareness of that thing. Make space for a few minutes a day. And I'm saying minutes. It could be 1 minute. I mean, I'm going to challenge myself today to do 1 minute of window gazing. I'm sorry, my voice is really going. Looking out the window. Literally looking out the window. Drinking a coffee or tea in peace with nothing else, just doing that. With some sunlight on your face for extra bonus points. Or maybe you just be like, you're in the middle of your work day and you're like, I'm just going to go outside. I'm just going to get some fresh air. Get some sunlight on my face because sunlight is great. And I'm just going to be here for a minute or two. I'm not even going to time it. I'm not going to take my phone. You know, I'm just going to take a moment. Take a moment for yourself to do that. And it doesn't mean that in that moment you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go practice thought observation. Okay, so I really don't want you to overthink this. But it just means that when you slow down and allow your thoughts to be there, allow your own voice to just be present, you just start naturally noticing things more. You become more self-aware. So yeah, really not complicated. So I'd love you to think right now, what happens when if you go back to that thing that you wanted, that you wrote down, what happens when you visualize yourself already having it? Is that a possible visual for you? Like, do you see it? That's a really important question to ask yourself. Can I see it, or is there a negotiation that comes in the way? Is there someone bartering with me saying, oh, no, you can't have that? Are you able to see this version of you having that thing, how they feel? And when you do your visualization practices, I highly recommend you tune into that. Tune into how does that version of me feel? How is it to hold that? If it's a physical thing you want, how is it to hold and touch that thing? If it's like financial, like how is it to open my banking and see that notification? How is it to spend and use money when you know you have an abundance of coming in? How does that feel in your nervous system? Because we really need to teach ourselves that it's safe to hold that thing. And that's why visualization is so important, because you will teach yourself it's safe for you to hold that. Remember, we are not seeking happiness, we are seeking comfort. We are looking for what is comfortable for us. If you have not been financially abundant before, that is not comfortable for you. So you need to learn how to be comfortable with that. If starting the business is not something you've been comfortable with before, if having a good work, let's say you're like, I really want this other job that's going to give me a better work-life balance. But if you have not had that before, and you are so used to working yourself to the bone until you're absolutely exhausted and hustling your way to success, and your nervous system does not know how to hold something that's so different, you have to teach it. How do we teach it? By visualizing it, by imagining it, by already feeling into that sensation, how it would feel for me. So my recommendation for you is, after today, is to do the visualization practices, but doing it with this in your mind. Really seeing yourself already having it, already being it. Maybe your goal is something that you want to become. Maybe it's like, I want to be more confident. I want to be more, I don't know, I want to slow down. I want to be able to give myself rest. I want to find more time for relaxation. I want to, maybe it's a health goal. Whatever it is, you need to visualize yourself already being that. And if you haven't already got my visualization meditations, you can just send me a message after this and I can send you them. We were actually going to do a live meditation today, but because of my, I'm going to save my voice to make sure I can get through this whole presentation. So we won't do it today, but I do recommend that when you go into this, what you really think about how you visualize yourself. So that's how you really practice it. And the other common mistake that I see all the time, right, with visualization and manifesting and all of these things, it's so easy to visualize ourselves crossing that finish line. But can you also visualize yourself showing up through the discomfort? So I'll give you an example. If my goal was to run a marathon, it would be very easy and lovely to visualize myself crossing the finish line on that day. But it's also important, again, to teach your nervous system safety and to put you into action, to visualize myself getting up in the dark in the winter and training when I don't feel like it in the cold, to getting an injury whilst training and not seeing that as a setback, and being able to relax and rest without guilt so that I can come back stronger after, for example. You also need to mentally train yourself for obstacles, because what usually happens is we have a goal, right? We're working towards it, and then life takes a different track or a path that we weren't seeing. We weren't not seeing, but predicting. And then we tell ourselves, oh, it's not working. See, these things never happen for me. But what if we just say, oh, okay, it's a different, what if we just trust in the outcome? We don't need to have full control over the entire journey. And when you visualize yourself, visualize things coming up, because things will come up. There's no path that you have set up that's like, it's going to be like this, and this is how I'm going to get it. There's always something else that comes up. Maybe those things sometimes can be great things as well, right? It could be like, oh, I would like to get the dream job in another city or whatever. And then it's happening and it sounds like really promising. And then boom, out of nowhere, we get a job offer, which is a crazy opportunity to be somewhere completely different. And then all of a sudden that whole, like the whole track that we had predicted in our mind is completely thrown off. So be open to that. When you visualize, I don't know the exact path, but I know that I'm going to keep showing up to make this thing happen. And I'm going to just trust whatever comes at me in the process, and whatever lessons that I need to follow and learn and take on in that process. And that it's going to happen in the perfect timing for me. So the common mistake I see is that people don't visualize themselves showing up when stuff gets hard. And that's really an important part. So when you do the visualization exercises as well, make sure that you visualize yourself in the process too. Even if it's something like simple, right? It doesn't even have to be in a meditation. It could be like, okay, I want to improve my morning routine. I want to stay off my phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. I even need to set that up in my brain the night before. So that might me be going into bed and before I go to sleep, I see myself doing that tomorrow. I see myself waking up to my alarm clock or naturally and not reaching for my phone and doing something else with it instead. So hopefully that makes sense. Visualize the process. Okay. Now let's go on to the affirmation creation. Okay. So next to each of your limiting beliefs that you wrote down earlier, you're going to write down, you can also create a new table for this if you want it to look super neat, a new affirmation next to each one. Okay. So I've written some examples here, and you can also use me during this process if there's any that come up and you're like, I don't know how to rewire that one to be really delusional. You can, you're welcome to shout it out to me or write it in the text box and I can help. So an example, I'm not good enough at X to start the business yet. I need more training first. That's usually what we tell ourselves. I can do the thing that feels scary and show up imperfectly to learn, which is just giving yourself permission, right? Being rich is only for a certain type of person, and that's not me. Wealth and abundance is available to me. It's too late to change my career now. Starting over is always possible, especially when it's aligned to my higher self, right? So these are just some random examples, like really random. Obviously, you're going to do this now. That's relevant to you. So I'm going to give you a few moments to do that. And if you need some help, you can write it in the box or shout out to me and I can help you. I always like to say, like, your intuition is so strong when you really ask yourself, what do I need to hear? You actually know, you always know the best thing for you because there is a part of you that always wants the best for you. So whenever you're coming up with these affirmations and one comes up, just go with it. Go with like the first thing that comes up and trust that it's usually the right one. Oh, thank you. Sorry, guys. My microphone was switched off. It went muted. So I need to go back. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry, you've just asked the question. Can you do affirmations about others and their success out of interest? Yes, you can. So you mean like if you're wanting like a behavioral change or something for somebody else, I think what I would tap into there, like personally, would be maybe like it's uncovering the doubt that we have about other people, for example. And I can only speak from personal experience, like when, for example, I had difficult, or my partner was having difficulties with something, for example, and like, you know, type A personality me wanted to like fix everything and sort everything out. But actually, what I really realized that I needed to lean into was trusting him, that he would figure it out in divine timing. And then when I had that belief, when I wired my brain to have that belief, that changed the way that I acted around him. So what he felt from that was that someone believed in him. And when we feel encouraged by someone else, it influences us. I hope that makes sense. So yes, you absolutely can. You absolutely can write it about other people. You absolutely can. But just making sure that the first point would be trust about that person. So let me go back, seeing as I missed everything. Oh no, it was just this. Okay. So I basically just said that, oh, okay, let me repeat what I said. Oh, why did I have it on mute? I basically said that this list you can always add and adapt and change, and that we always have new beliefs that need rewiring. This is not like one time done. This is like a lifelong thing. But the bonus about this is that it does become so much easier the more in tune you become with your own way of thinking and belief system. It becomes way simpler. So for example, I like to set my affirmations up for the week, usually on a Sunday or a Monday, depending on how chaotic my Sunday has been. So today I'll be doing mine today. I like to set them up on a Monday, and I genuinely can just ask myself this one question, which is like, what do you need to hear right now? And usually the first thing that comes up, like even the new affirmations that you wrote down for yourself, they were probably exactly what you needed to hear. The only thing I would just make sure of is that none of them are playing it too safe. So just make sure about that. You can always message me after this if you would like any if you'd like me just to check any of them, to be like, hey, from another perspective, is this like crazy enough? And also, if it makes you like a little bit uncomfortable to say, then that's literally exactly what you need to hear. The more uncomfortable, the better. It shouldn't feel natural to come out your mouth. That's when you know that you're tackling a belief system, which is great. So yeah, you can always do this. This is lifelong work. Like we always have beliefs that are forming subconsciously, even from like social media, for example, right? Like I might not have realized, but I might have consumed something yesterday afternoon that told me avocados were bad for me, and now maybe I'm going to avoid avocados, right? It's obviously completely random. Because of social media, our belief system is always being altered. So that's why I always say it's very important for you to obsess over what you are consuming, because that is creating your belief system, and your belief system creates your life. So yeah. Okay. So the higher self always wants the best for you. If there is internal noise for you to do something or to try something new or about your job or about something, like it's not random. Okay, that's what I just want to remind you of. It's not random. It's for a reason. It's because you having that thing or being that would help you live in alignment with your higher self. There is a version that is within you that always wants the best for you and is constantly trying to redirect you It's like when you have a gut feeling about something, it's not wrong. I'm going to be really open here. I spoke out loud a gut feeling that I've been having. It'll be really interesting to see if I watch this back in a year and what my life looks like. I have this feeling that I just can't get rid of, that we need to do something really spontaneous, like pack up our life and just travel for a year with like the kids and world school. And I can't shake it. Like it's just always there niggling away. And so yesterday I just said out loud, I was like, look, I think we need to do this. So let's figure out a way we can do it. So watch the space. I think next year we will be off on some adventures and travels. The process of rewiring, and I'm sorry if you're hearing me say this again, but actually I'm not sorry because it's always good to remind ourselves. The process of rewiring is like tracks in a forest, okay? We have all these pathways that have been carved out already in our brain that are easy to follow because we have gone over those tracks again and again and again. So it's super easy to walk on those tracks, super easy to have those thoughts because they're almost easy to have because we're so used to having them. So coming up with a new thought is like making a whole new track in the forest or jungle. It's a bit messy, might trip over, it's not going to be super comfortable, but at the end of the day, it's going to get you where you want to be. And those other paths don't get you or aren't getting you to where you want to be, because if they were getting you to where you want to be, you would already have those things. You would already have all the goals that you've written down today. So it's a process. It's not like, oh, I'm going to say this one affirmation and boom, I'm going to believe it. Like it is a process. It's saying the affirmations. It's noticing when you have the challenging thoughts that are working against them, because they will come up. And then it's retraining yourself to walk on a new path until that path becomes an actual path in your brain. And when that path becomes an actual path in your brain will naturally take that path because it's easy to walk on. And the other one, over a period of time, will start to overgrow and become less easy to take. And that will become the more difficult path. So that is the process of rewiring. So let's think about a daily rewire routine, okay? You can write this down for yourself, but this is what I would do if I were you. I would select 2 to 3 affirmations from that list that you created today. Choose, again, go very instinctively with this. Choose the 2 or 3 that feel the most relevant for you right now and say them every single morning. Have no phone for at least first 10 minutes of your day, please. Please. So many people are struggling right now up here because we are so, and this is not your fault and it's not to shame you, they have been made to be so addictive. I struggle with this. This is something I have to be I'm trying my best to be intentional all the time with it until we become into this point of despair where it's just like, just consuming me all the time. So please just remove it for the first 10 minutes of your day. If you haven't already got a sunrise alarm clock, I should be a sponsor for one. So if you know a brand, let me know, because the amount of these things that I have sold, honestly, Amazon should really thank me. Get a sunrise alarm clock, put your phone away from you, and just plan to have no phone for the first 10 minutes of your day. Practice presence to allow for thought observation. And this can even be with that taking away your phone for the first 10 minutes. Maybe you could write down like 1 way or 2 ways that you would like to practice being more present based on the tips that I gave you at the beginning. For you, like which ones of those resonated with you the most? Which ones felt like, oh yeah, I'd really like to do that. I'd really like to like have my tea in peace, or I'd really like to get outside and get fresh air. Whatever it is. And write those things down as well. So then you have a wonderful routine. Oh, and also visualize every night before sleeping. If you really want to get to where you want to go like 10 times faster, you need to do the visualization, like quantum leap meditations every day. Not every day, but like, most nights, like become like a non-negotiable. So yeah, I would I would make sure that you do the visualization all the time. I actually integrated the visualization very late on, like very recent. It's a very recent thing for me, and the quantum leap's like been happening big time. So it's definitely something to not miss. And just as a final note, it does not take hours out of your day. It doesn't. It's not like when you want to build a new body and go to the gym. Okay, it doesn't take a long time out of your day, but it does take intentional awareness and intentional thinking, meaning it requires your awareness to be in that space. So where energy goes, transformation follows. So if you are thinking about this internal transformation, it's going to happen. You don't need to doubt, like, oh, is this actually going to work? It's going to happen. It is going to happen. It's going to naturally happen because your awareness is there. And awareness is a very underestimated tool. It's extremely powerful. When you have self-awareness, I really genuinely believe you can do anything. It's such a powerful tool because when you become aware of something, you can't not change it. And this work is the root to everything that you want to create in your life. And so many of us are trying to do the opposite. We're trying to fight against external things. But we need to just start here. Start with our belief system, because then things like our actions become easier and flowy because it matches with the new belief system that we have created for ourselves. Yeah, any questions? Do you have any questions? You can also pop them in the chat box if you like before I wrap up. Okay, about the affirmations. Yeah, actually, I didn't specify about the affirmations. I forgot to add that part. So look at my Q&A, just not in the middle of the page at all. So your affirmations, like, how do you practice them? Okay, so I actually used to, okay, and do I use vision boards around the house? Okay, good questions, really great questions. So on the one about the affirmations, I use post-it notes, like these old school post-it notes here. I always have packs of these. I love them. And I used to write them out and stick them on my bedside table for me to look at when I wake up in the morning. But more recently, I have been putting them on my mirror because I like to say them to myself in the mirror. So I would say those two places are great. You can also, for bonus points, add them around like your work desk or something. Yeah, that's basically it for the affirmations. Just put them bedside table, anywhere that you're going to see them first thing in the morning. You can also say them before you go to sleep. About a vision board, like a physical vision board, honestly, no, I don't use aesthetic vision boards. I'm not against them. I think that they could be great and helpful. But for me, tapping into that visual in my mind makes more sense. And here's why. What I can create up here is so much more detailed than whatever a board could be. Like, a board cannot represent me hosting my dream retreat, how I feel and embodied in that moment, the people that are there, the transformation that I want them to get, right? Because that's like one of my visualizations, is to run more dream retreats around the world that give people transformation. A vision board, yeah, maybe I could put like, okay, the country that I want to host that retreat in, but I wouldn't be able to get that much detail. Do you see what I mean? So what I can access up here is so much more powerful. And I think because I am very limited on time, because I work and I have my daughter at home full time and my son is at home a lot. So I prefer to just access what's up here the most. But I'm not against having vision boards around. I just don't think I'm the right person to train on how to use aesthetic vision boards, because it's not something that I believe is that necessary. But if you want to do it, absolutely go ahead. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so just ways you can continue working with me if you're watching this back is you can join my free Telegram group if you aren't already. It's called Regulated and Rising, and I basically drop little mindset audio trainings on there. I'm going to write one, record one this week about vision boarding because I keep getting asked about this. You can join my 12-week group program in September. It's called Hire You, and we're going to be doing calls similar to this for every single week. And it will be to really give you this transformation before the end of this year. It will transform you in one way or another, because every single person who has done a 12-week program of mine in the past has always had a transformation. And sometimes it's not even a transformation you plan for, which is really cool. You can work with me one-to-one. I do like regular calls, personalized tools and meditations to get you where you want to be 10 times faster. And I have 2 more spaces at the moment for that. Or you can attend one of my retreats. I have a day retreat in the UK coming up next month. And I have a 5-day retreat in Portugal next June, which is also available on payment plan. So I can do customized payment plans for you to attend that. I still have some spots available for it, and it's going to be incredible. So if you would like some more information about any of those things, you can reach out to me on however you found me before, or you can drop me an email. And that is it. I want to say, like, genuinely, thank you, Tracy, for coming here for the live today. And for anyone who watches this back, just really congratulate yourself for showing up to this session and for being here. And I wish you all the best with your affirmation writing and using. And I would love to hear how the tools are for you once you've integrated them for about a week or so. I'd love to hear how you feel after. And anything that comes up for you, always just drop me a message. I'd love to help. Thank you, everybody, and have a beautiful week.